Good afternoon, everybody. Today I am joined by my law enforcement partners from the IRS, the FBI, from Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration, ICE, Homeland Security Investigations, and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. As we enter the final stretch of the 2019 tax filing season, we, along with our many law enforcement partners, urge you to become more aware, alert, and vigilant against potential frauds, scams, and schemes targeting individuals for financial crimes. Criminals have become much more sophisticated, direct, and deliberate these days in targeting citizens and institutions for financial crimes. These crimes range from theft of government programs, compromised personal information, stolen identities, to false tax schemes, to fake lotteries and prizes, resulting in the loss of millions of dollars to individuals. In certain instances, these criminals often prey upon some of the most vulnerable members of our society, the elderly. Hence, the Department of Justice has placed a special focus on these targeted crimes by launching Elder Justice Initiative. The mission of the Elder Justice Initiative is to support and coordinate the department's enforcement and efforts to combat elder abuse, neglect, financial fraud, and scams that target our nation's seniors. We engage in this work by focusing on the following mission areas: building federal, state, and local capacity to fight elder abuse, which is why I am surrounded by all my partners here today. And we do that by providing targeted training and resources to elder justice professionals, including prosecutors, the law enforcement, the judges, victim specialists, first responders, civil legal aid employees, and other multidisciplinary teams. And we do this to enhance their ability to respond to elder abuse efficiently and effectively. Also by promoting justice for our older Americans, by investigating and prosecuting financial scams and that target older adults, and by promoting greater federal, state, and local coordination to resolving these cases where long-term care facilities often provide substandard care for their residents or patients. In my office, I have designated a dedicated prosecutor to these elder fraud matters or elder abuse matters, Assistant United States Attorney Jennifer Parisi, to coordinate investigations and prosecutions district-wide. We also support this initiative by supporting research to improve elder abuse policy and practice, by promoting foundational research into elder abuse and financial exploitation, to transform the practice of professionals in ways that positively impact the lives of our older citizens. And finally, by helping older victims and their families by connecting older adults and their families or caregivers with appropriate investigative agencies to help them recover from the effects of these scams. In the past year, the United States Attorney's Office Law Enforcement Coordination and Community Engagement Team, led by Will Daniels in our office, has partnered with our law enforcement partners and local communities to provide training, tips, and information to more than 800 citizens in the Middle District of Florida. Over the past 2 years, the United States Office's Economic Crime Section has worked diligently with our investigative partners to prioritize these crimes and to prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. Some of these cases have garnered significant attention domestically and internationally. For example, one of those cases is United States versus Robert Blake Maduri. In this case, conspirators participated in a fraudulent sweepstakes scheme operating in the Middle District of Florida and in Jamaica. This scheme targeted victims throughout the United States, and many of whom were elderly. They falsely informed them that they had won multi-million-dollar prizes and sweepstakes in a contest in Jamaica. The conspirators instructed the victims to wire funds to representatives in Orlando. In order to repay, these funds were, they were told that were to prepay fees and taxes associated with this prize. This money was then wired to conspirators and businesses in Jamaica. The personal identity information belonging to more than 35 individuals was stolen in less than 2 years. And in those 2 years, conspirators transferred $4.7 million from victims to accounts in Jamaica. 7 defendants were prosecuted and received 5 to 10 years in prison. This case was prosecuted by Assistant United States Attorneys Karen Gable and Roger Hamburg with our Orlando office. Another case is United States versus Nishit Kumar Patel. Patel of Tampa conspired with others to commit wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. This is related to his participation in an India-based call center scam. From 2014 through 2016, Patel conspired with U.S.-based conspirators and India-based call centers to extort money from United States residents by impersonating IRS officers and misleading victims to believe that they owed money to the IRS and would be arrested and fined if they did not pay those alleged back taxes immediately. The defendants collected the proceeds by providing the runners and co-conspirators with the victims' names, locations, and amounts paid. These co-conspirators were then directed to retrieve the frauds and proceeds in cash and then turn the funds over to the defendants. Patel was sentenced to 8 years and 9 months and was also sentenced with a $200,000 money judgment. 4 others previously pled guilty to their roles in this same scheme. For example, co-conspirator Alejandro Juarez was sentenced to 15 months in federal prison. The other remaining defendants and co-conspirators are pending sentencing. This case was prosecuted by Assistant United States Rachel Jones of our Tampa office. These are just 2 of the many cases that the United States Attorney's Office has prosecuted in recent months, taking this impact that these schemes and scams have on our community. The Middle District of Florida can rest assured that we, all of us together, all our partners here today, will continue to educate the community, train our partners, and investigate and prosecute to the fullest extent of the law those who seek to defraud our citizens and institutions by fraud, scheme, and scams. Thank you very much, and now I will turn it over to Special Agent in charge of the IRS, Mary Hammond.
Thank you, U.S. Attorney Chapter Lopez. Good afternoon. As the U.S. Attorney mentioned, my name is Mary Hammond. I'm the Special Agent in charge of IRS criminal investigation. Today, I want to continue to warn the public and empower anyone listening to warn others about 3 specific frauds: IRS impersonation phone scams, bad tax return preparers, and sweepstakes scams. These and other scams endanger taxpayers' financial well-being. Variations of the IRS impersonation phone scam continue year-round, not just during tax season. Criminals make unsolicited calls and leave voicemails with urgent callback requests, claiming to be IRS officials. They demand that the victim pay bogus tax bills by sending cash through wire transfer, prepaid debit cards, and gift cards. Many phone scammers use threats and intimidation to bully victims into paying, including threatening to arrest them. In my 20-year career as a special agent with IRS criminal investigation, I've never called a criminal to let them know I'm coming to arrest them. Law enforcement shows up, we arrest the criminal, and we put them in prison. The Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration, the lead federal agency investigating tax-related phone scams, says over 14,000 victims have lost more than $72 million since October 2013. The state of Florida ranks at the top of the nation for reports of IRS impersonation scam calls. This scam is not new, but we continue to see victims, so we need everyone's help. We need everyone to warn family, friends, and neighbors that these calls are a scam and they should just hang up. We want you to know that criminals are being held accountable for this behavior. We're not calling ahead of time to let them know we're going to arrest them. We're arresting them and putting them in prison. For example, as the U.S. Attorney mentioned, the Internal Revenue Service Criminal Investigation, Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, Tampa Police Department, and Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office are pleased to announce, along with the U.S. Attorney's Office, that Nitshit Kumar Patel of Tampa was sentenced to over 8 years in federal prison for his role in an IRS impersonation scam. 4 co-conspirators also pleaded guilty for their role in the scheme. We will continue to work on the public's behalf to disrupt and dismantle these frauds, but we need your help. Just hang up. Another fraud that we want you to avoid is to become the next latest victim of a bad tax return preparer. The vast majority of tax professionals provide honest, high-quality service. However, each year, IRS criminal investigation investigates, prosecutes, and imprisons bad tax return preparers who scam clients and steal money from honest American taxpayers. Take note of any preparer who's promising a higher tax refund than you can get elsewhere. Watch out for preparers who ask you to sign blank forms, who promise large refunds without reviewing any of your tax documents, and who charge fees based on a percentage of your tax refund. These con artists may try to add or remove items from your tax return, to falsely gain a high refund. They may even argue that you won't get caught, it's not a big deal, or everyone's doing it. Make no mistake, at the end of the day, you are responsible for the information on your tax return. As the U.S. Attorney mentioned, a third fraud that we wanted to alert the public to is the Jamaican lottery scams. As the U.S. Attorney mentioned, these prey on elderly victims, and we're getting great prison sentences for these criminals. Dismantling this Jamaican lottery scam represents a joint effort by IRS Criminal Investigation, Department of Homeland Security, the St. Cloud, Winter Park, Castleberry, Kissimmee, Maitland, and Palm Bay Police Departments, and the Brevard and Osceola County Sheriff's Offices. Impersonation scams, bad return preparers, and phony sweepstakes are common frauds. Law enforcement will continue to combat these, but we could use the public's help to make these less common. Remember, the IRS will never call to demand that you immediately pay your taxes, nor will we call and threaten to arrest you for not paying your taxes. If you get one of these calls, do not give any information over the phone, just hang up. Do your homework, pick a good return preparer, be wary of fraudulent sweepstakes. As soon as these frauds are no longer profitable for criminals, the scams will stop. I need your help because I also am tired of getting these phone calls. So let's all help each other and just hang up. Thank you. I'd like to turn it over to FBI Special Agent in Charge, Eric Spohr.
Thanks, Mary. Good afternoon. I'm Eric Spohr, the Special Agent in Charge of the Tampa Field Office of the FBI. I'd like to thank the United States Attorney's Office for hosting this event and thank all of our federal, state, and local partners for their unwavering commitment to working together to address complex fraud investigations. The FBI and our partners continually investigate and bring those who commit fraud to justice. However, the number of perpetrators is great, and they span the globe. The schemes are varied and prolific. We need the help of our community to reduce the number of individuals victimized, and one of the best ways to achieve this goal is to increase awareness regarding the types of scams. Here's an example. Just the other day, one of our agents in the Tampa office came to us to tell us about a call that his father received. Someone claiming to be from the Social Security office. The caller said that there was suspicious activity on his account and that he needed to give his Social Security number so they could provide details about that suspicious activity. The father questioned the caller about his identity and refused to provide his information, and the caller became belligerent and began to yell. The caller told the father that his Social Security account would be suspended by the end of the day if he didn't comply. Fortunately, the agent's father, having heard many stories from his son about the wide variety of fraud schemes, recognized this call for what it was, an attempt to steal his information. And he hung up. The tactics the caller used were typical of how these crooks operate to perpetuate their crimes. Sometimes they're threatening and mean. Other times they act like they want to help and be your friend. So what can you do? In most schemes, the perpetrators create a sense of urgency. They want you to hurry up and act now. But don't. Slow down. Take time to research, ask questions, and conclusively verify the caller's identity. Or, as my colleague Mary said, hang up. Just hang up. Adopt a mindset that every communication you receive is fraudulent until proven legitimate. If you do fall victim to a fraud scheme, don't be afraid or embarrassed to report it. The details you can provide are of critical importance. The FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, known as IC3, will take your complaint and use the information provided to identify connections, track trends, and build investigations. You can file a complaint at ic3.gov. You can also call your local FBI office or state and local federal law enforcement agency that you have a relationship with. The FBI works side by side with all of our law enforcement partners to further these investigations. Together with the help of our community, we can better prepare individuals to recognize these schemes and work together to limit the impact. Thank you for being here today and for your partnership in getting the message out.
I think it's because, as Eric mentioned, these criminals are convincing. It's very scary to get a call or be contacted by the IRS or the local police if you're not expecting it, right? I think we need to educate the public. I think we need to continue getting the message out that these are scam calls. There's a very similar pattern to these calls, and we just need to hang up. The shorter we're on the phone, the less opportunity the criminals have to solicit money from us, right? As soon as it's not profitable, the calls will stop.
For example, your Jamaica story. Is the country Jamaica helping at all to get these people out, or how are we catching them? Are they in Jamaica?
So the criminals were in the United States. They're also sending the funds that they've stolen from the victims, that they've convinced the victims to give them based on their fraud scenario. They're sending that money to Jamaica, and they're using it for their own personal living expenses. And we do have great relationships internationally with multiple countries that help us identify criminals and conduct investigations.
So they help you?
Yeah.
Arrest these people, or how do they help?
Well, the individuals involved in this scheme were arrested in the United States for the Jamaican lottery scheme.
And just to say, these investigations are ongoing. What we reported today are like phases of investigations that have concluded, and now these defendants have been sentenced or are pending sentencing, and the defendants that we discussed today are all in the United States, so we haven't had to reach out. But we are working with our counterparts in India. We are trying to work with our counterparts in Jamaica, and in other countries where these kind of frauds and scams originate. So there is a lot of communication going back and forth between the Department of Justice and the State Department and our foreign counterparts.
Can you give us a little more insight on the Patel case? So Patel's here, but he owns a call center in India that makes the calls and they transfer money, or?
You have more detail on the Patel?
Guillermo.
How you doing? Your question again, please?
On the Patel case, just give us some insight. So he's here, but the call center's in India, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So how does that work?
Well, basically, the calls are being made out of India, out of the call centers. Patel was not known to make any phone calls. They do need individuals here in the United States in order to have the money being transferred from the victims into the United States. So Patel, what he was doing, just collect the money from the victims. Special Agent Guillermo Rivera.
So those two cases that you guys referred to, is this you guys releasing it for the first time to us, or did you send press releases before on the individuals? I just want to be clear. Is this new to us today, or did we have some knowledge before about some of these people that we're talking about?
No, press releases have gone out on both of the cases that I mentioned today. But these are not the only two cases. I just didn't want to be up here for like 30 minutes talking about all the cases, because sadly and unfortunately, this happens a lot, which is why I designated an AUSA to focus on these scams, especially when they target our elder fraud. But the information on these two, the reason I was able to talk about them today is because we've already given out previous press releases on this.
I noticed that there were other Jamaican nationals that were extradited to the United States in different districts around the United States. Are you reaching out? Are there any people in Jamaica that you think will seek extradition here to the Middle District of Florida?
I can't really say right now. I know that there are investigations that are ongoing, and the Jamaican lottery scams are also a priority. Apart from the fact that that some of them target elder fraud, or elders are targeted through that scam, not everybody is elderly. So the scam is the Jamaican scam itself, or the lottery scam, is also a priority or a focus for the Department of Justice. And yes, we do coordinate with other districts, what was called deconfliction, to see if we work together or we deconflict. But yes, it does span multi-district and internationally.
How does the Jamaican lottery scam work? No, I've never heard of that. Just wonder, how does that work as far as just a call center, or you?
They just individuals call. random numbers, and correct me if I'm wrong, but individuals called random numbers and tell you that you have won the Jamaican lottery, and that in order to collect millions of dollars, however much the prize amount is, that you owe, in order to collect it, you have to pay up front the taxes or the fees or whatever it is to transfer it to you. And unfortunately, individuals fall for that. And so then the money is collected by runners that are the local individuals that are the folks that we have prosecuted here that do the collecting of the money, that are co-conspirators, and then accounts are set up in Jamaica and the money is transferred to Jamaica. And that's how it becomes, that's why it's called it's the Jamaican lottery, because they tell you it's a lottery that you won in Jamaica, but also it involves accounts in Jamaica.
What kind of pressure does the government have on the government of Jamaica to help you?
That's a conversation with the Attorney General and the State Department and our international counterparts. And I'm not. That's not something that I am personally involved with. That's over my head. Right now, I'm addressing what's happening in the Middle District of Florida and prosecuting the cases that are occurring here in the Middle District of Florida. Again, that's like an international conversation. So.
It seems like a problem.
It's a problem, which is why the Department of Justice is focusing on it and has a team that is focusing on how to address that internationally.
As U.S. Attorney, can we get your opinion on the people who do this kind of thing and prey on innocent people, specifically the elderly? What's your thought on the kind of people who would do something like this?
Well, I don't think I need to express an opinion on that. I mean, the individuals who we prosecute, we establish the evidence, and they go through the judicial system and are either found guilty or not guilty. And what my personal opinion is on that does not really come into play on that.